Our penultimate speaker is Brother Haseeb Rizvi, Creative Director and Designer at RZV Creative and Creative Director at Rizvi Graphics. If I could invite Brother Haseeb to the podium, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I seek refuge in Allah from shaitan. I seek refuge in Allah from myself, from my own desires. And just as my younger brother Ali just gave a little disclaimer, I would like to do the same. Anything I do say here is obviously to myself before anyone else. And I do not stand before you as an authority of any sort. I stand before you as one of you, but someone who's managed to actually put his thoughts down into some writing, which I'll be relaying back to you guys. My topic of discussion today is self-awareness and self-confidence. The two sound similar, they're interlinked, but they're actually very different. And the question I want to ask you guys, and I want you guys to ask yourself as you sit here, who are you? Who are you really? How often do we actually ask ourselves this question? How often do we actually think about our day-to-day behavior, our minute-to-minute behavior, our behavior every second? Because inevitably, whether we like it or not, our actions and our thoughts are actually what make us and what make us who we are today. And once you've asked yourself that question, are you happy with what you've concluded? Are you happy with who you are really, behind closed doors? And there lies the struggle of all human beings, being at one with themselves, being at one with who they are and what they're about and what they stand for. I'm going to cite a verse from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, by the soul and by him who made it perfect, and then inspired it to understand what is wrong and what is right for it. Truly is successful the one who purifies his soul. And there's countless verses in the Quran, and there's a plethora of hadith out there that all emphasize the necessity of self-understanding, self-awareness essentially, and self-control as a result from that self-awareness. So I'm going to cut the story short and not make it too long. I'm going to actually skip on to some practical steps towards gaining self-awareness. And this is all based, by the way, on my own personal journey through self-awareness over the last 2-3 years, growing in from a teenage boy to an adult of sort. Think about your habits. Think about your moods. Think about your behavior. Think about your actions. Take some time to actually analyze the things that make you happy, the things that make you sad, the things that make you irritated, the things that make you angry, the things that make you feel creative, all those various elements, all those various stages of your emotional process. Think about the things. What makes them exist? What makes that emotion exist inside you? What makes you happy? The other thing you need to think about is think about where you are in life today. Today, obviously, you guys are sitting here. But where are you in your life? Is it where you want to be in your life? Is this what you had envisaged when you was 5 years old, or when you was 12 years old, or when you was 20 years old? Is this where you want to be in everything in your life that you are today? And you will only start being able to really break down these processes of your life and who you are once you take the actual time to reflect. Now, anyone who follows me on social media should know I like to actually spend a lot of my time reflecting. You'll see pictures of me next to a river, on top of a mountain in Barcelona, just reflecting upon life as it happens. And it's something that I've actually become addicted to, because there's nothing better than knowing anything than knowing yourself and what makes you you. What makes you think, what makes you not think. And so I encourage everyone, as Buddhist as it may sound, to take the time to meditate as much as possible. I literally cannot emphasize it enough. In fact, when I went to Ziyarat in 2013, one of the guys that was giving a talk made a very, very interesting comment, and it stuck with me forever. And it was about talking to yourself, and it was about talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the two go hand in hand basically. So when you're talking to yourself, when you're making dua, they both go hand in hand. And it was like, in a practical world where we live today, where everything is so busy, everything is so rushed, everything is so fast, when can we actually get time to sit down and ponder over ourselves? I do it in my morning coffee. Every morning I have a coffee and I'm like, Haseeb, here's what we've got to do today. We've got to get this done by 5 p.m. We've got to get this done by 6 p.m. You've got to email this guy, you've got to do this guy. You've got to do this, you've got to do that. But then there's also the other thought process that I have, which is the general life discussion. Am I happy with who I am today? Am I sure that what I do today is actually going to be beneficial to me in my general life? Is it going to be beneficial to the people around me and the people that I care about? And so the guy in Karbala, he said, have a coffee with God. And so to a lot of people that might sound like, oh God, you can't say that. But what he was actually saying was, in that process, that those things that you do, those moments that you have on a day-to-day level that are very personal, such as a morning coffee or morning tea or whatever it is, take that time, make that time to actually just, sit down in silence, not talk to anyone, put your phone away, and actually think about your own life and where you are. Once you've done that, start becoming aware of the processes inside you. What makes you angry? And start analyzing why it's actually made you angry, and does it actually need to make you angry? Do you need to be irritated just because some kid's making noise in the background? Why not think about it like this? If that kid is making noise, it's probably because he's having a good time. So why not be happy for that kid instead and make the noise? I'm fine. It's not really going to personally damage you in any way. And understand the parts of you. Now, it varies. Some people call it the nafs. Some people say mind, body, soul. And I prefer the mind, body, soul division, to be honest with you. But there is also one other element that is thrown around in philosophy, which is the higher self and the lower self. The lower self now being your animal instinct, your desires, your urges, revenge, power, lust, fame, ego. Your higher desires being more towards aspirational things, happiness, pleasing your mum, having a nice meal, not just eating for the sake of eating and greed and, like stuffing your face like a pig. And then the other level of self-awareness is you in the physical space that you are. By that, what I mean is what's going on around you and the impact you have on what's going on around you, and the impact of other things going on around you, the impact they have on you. So I'm starting to understand now. So you've basically now got a map, essentially, of all the various elements that are controlling your life. And the more you start studying yourself, the more you become in control. And essentially, control is what this is all about. The jihad, the greater jihad, is the jihad of the self. When you subdue your desires, when you subdue everything that's within you for the betterment of yourself, people around you, and ultimately to get closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's obviously the most important thing. Sorry. Now the other element here that I wanted to talk to you about today was self-confidence. So now you've become aware of yourself. Once you've now understood, okay, this makes me jealous. When I see this person's picture on Facebook, it really winds me up. Guess what? You can control that. If someone's rubbing you up the wrong way, you can either defriend them, you can either say, you know what, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. All of that is within our control. There's so many things that we do in our day-to-day lives that we don't actually need to do, that actually cause us negative energy, that cause us to stress, that cause us to get upset, that cause us to become anxious. We don't need any of that. And ultimately, once you start becoming aware of all these processes inside you, you can now say, okay, you know what, I'll have more of that and I'll have less of this. That makes me more happy, I'm going to do that. This makes me less happy, I'm going to do less of that. And that's basically it. You've got to become in control of that. Ultimately, however, and this is the key point here, is you need to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan is greater than your plan. Any plan that you can think of, the direction that you think you're going to take, you have to remain humble to what God has planned for you. And you do that, and that is basically the struggle of life, and that will always continue. Building your self-confidence. First and foremost, it's all about killing your ego. Your ego is basically your own perception of yourself, who you think you are in other people's eyes, whether that's true or not. The other thing you need to now become aware of is, become more ambiguous of, is other people's perceptions of you. You've got to almost not care about what people think of you. You know, there's so many problems in today's society where we think by doing certain things we'll be impressing certain other people. Whether that's brothers posting up pictures of themselves working out, whether that's brothers posting pictures of themselves doing other various stunts just to kind of gain a bit of attraction. And the sisters do the same things. Let's not get that twisted. And really and truly, once you become aware of yourself and you're aware of who you are, you no longer need to please anyone else. You're actually confident with who you are. Because you know what? I like graphic design. I look at fonts and I get a bit excited, I'll be honest with you guys. I actually really, really like fonts. I actually really, really do like fonts, and I'm not going on about it too much. But I've got no problem with that. And when I'm on Facebook and when I'm on Twitter, I'll share that openly with people. I've got no problem with the fact that I have a slight and scary obsession with Riverside. I have no problem with that. I'll post that on Facebook and Twitter, why not? And this is the thing, now that I'm aware of the things that I'm good at, the things that please me, I have no problem doing that. Now the only things that's going to be left behind are the things that I'm not proud to share. Now what are these things? These things are very, very private and very, very intimate, and I'm not about to start telling you guys either. But this is the process of understanding yourself. If there is something that I am doing that I would not be happy to share online, then it probably means I shouldn't really be doing it. And your confidence stems from that. If you can become confident with your decisions, become confident with the choices that you make, the things that you choose to do, the things that you like to do, then you will have no worry wearing hijab. You will have no worry growing your beard. You will have no worry praying where you need to pray. You will have no worry talking to your mum the way you talk to your friends, for example. That's something that my mum said, hopefully she'll back me up on this, but that's actually something that I'm proud of myself, to be honest with you. I actually talk the way I talk to my friends is more or less the way I talk to my mum. Because I'm confident with who I am, the same way I'm with my friends, and the same way I'm with my mum, and the same way I'm with everyone. Confidence also falls on the following. You have to be humble enough to realize what you're good at and what you're not good at. For example, I'll stand here in front of you guys and tell you very comfortably, I'm good at graphic design. That doesn't make me arrogant, that just makes me very understanding of where I am in life. I'm not good at jumping buildings. I'm not good at athletics. And that's fine, I've got no problem with that. Once now I've understood that, I'm now going to work to the best that I can be. If I've got a creative mind, I'm going to max it out. I'm going to max that creative brain out to do the best that it can do for me and the people around me. If I'm not good at something, I'll be lying to myself, pursuing it, and in the future, you'll end up doing more destruction than you do good. And this is what happens. There's a saying, actually, isn't there, that the reality of the world is that the stupid people think they can lead, and the good people think that they're too shy about leading. It goes something like that. I've seen it on Instagram somewhere. And that's basically it. You have to be brave. You have to take strides now. Become confident with the goodness that you do have inside you, recognizing that, okay, you know what? I'm really good at talking, I'm going to talk. I'm really good at writing, I'm going to write. I'm really good at anything, you name it. Cooking, I'm going to cook really well. That's it. And that's basically where you've got to go with it. Now, ultimately, the battle will always go on. We're never going to reach a stage in our life where everything is fine and everything is cool. What we can change is our mentality to the perception of various scenarios that take place in our life, be they good or be they bad. When a good thing happens to you, remain thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and realize that this is from Him. When something bad happens to you, realize that this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and remain patient. And just tricking your mindset into that, suddenly nothing is a problem anymore. I can walk off the stage and fall off, and yeah, it might be a bit embarrassing, but I'll get over it. I won't necessarily need to make it a bigger thing and think, okay, oh no, everyone in the community is going to think that I am, a clumsy so-and-so. I've got the confidence to fall over, get back up again, and that's the reality of life. We fall over, we get back up. The difference is how long we take to get back up and be confident with ourselves again. If you change the mindset that you have, that everything that you're doing is bad, and turn it around to think, okay, you know what, if I'm not good, if I'm not praying properly on time, if I'm not praying consistently even, you know what, I'm rude to my mum, I'm rude to my friends, I'm rude to whoever. These aren't necessarily the worst things. I can improve them, and I'm confident that I can improve it. And then suddenly, all these problems of domestic violence, all these problems of people behaving certain ways online, certain people behaving certain ways in various scenarios will suddenly change. And you can change that. You, everyone here sitting today, can actually walk out of this center with their head up and be like, okay, cool, you know what, I've got 5 things that I'm not good at, 5 things that I need to stop. I'm going to work on those, but you know what, in the meantime, I don't need to let it get to me. And this is a problem that I've noticed a lot with the females, and I'll say this because I've got little sisters, and I understand the various processes. So my advice to you guys in summary would be to spend a lot of time reflecting over yourself after your prayer, during your prayer, in the morning when you wake up, when you're brushing your teeth, looking at yourself in the mirror, combing your hair, whenever it is, reflect. Who are you? Are you happy with who you are? Meditate, think about it. Work out your life scenarios. Work out, okay, you know what, this guy at work is really getting on my nerves. How am I going to deal with this situation? Be in control. That's the most important thing, because at the end of the day, we're engaged in a battle that's endless. We have to remain in control. If we don't have control, then who's going to have control over you? And this is what happens. In the mainstream Western societies that we live in, they are trying to gain control over us by indoctrinating us with false ideas, with false notions of freedom. And we buy it. Why? Because it feeds our animal self. And our animal self, and if fed, overpowers all of us. And with that, I'm going to end this speech with a saying. Sorry, I'm going to end it afterwards, actually. An old man telling his grandson about life, and it's one of the most beautiful stories, and it's a red Indian fable. He goes to his grandson, "A fight is going on inside me. It's a terrible fight, and it's between 2 wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego." He continued. He goes, "The other wolf is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." And he looked at his grandson and he said, "The same fight is going on inside you with these 2 wolves." So the grandchild looks to his granddad and he goes, "Who's going to win?" And very poignantly he says, "The one that you feed." And that shows us that we actually control which side of ourselves that we want to put forward. And just before I end my speech, so I don't know if I've gone way over my time or not, but I do want to congratulate my mother for starting Project Zainab. This is a very, very important milestone, I would say, within the Muslim community living in the West, that we are now matured enough to take on these initiatives, to discuss taboo subjects, to discuss things that are not discussed from the pulpit traditionally. Be it because of the way that things come across, and ultimately certain things cannot be discussed in public arenas. And I'll be working closely with my mother on this to make sure that, inshallah, with God's blessings, that everything can go to plan. And we actually want to see some changes in our society. And everyone sitting here today, make it your own personal responsibility to become a brand ambassador for Project Zainab, to tell other people about this initiative, to become involved in this initiative, to donate towards this initiative. Don't let these great ideas come and go just because we simply did not give it the right attention. Give it your right attention, give it your time of day, and inshallah we'll all see the benefit of this in this world and in the hereafter.